That's what he thinks.
It's political maniacs. But because it's the election, so this is probably the last week we're going to do it, and I guess we'll go back to regular political maniacs.
Oh, there'll be a lot of maniacs.
Well, like with the Republican president, I mean, I don't know what that means for political maniacs, because obviously, like, there's going to be something to say about Trump every single week.
Well, I mean, they're floating Sarah Palin to be the energy secretary, so.
Oh, what does that mean? Coal?
4 years
Alaska
of
drilling?
No, 4 years of Sarah Palin as, I mean, listen, if these, this is my thought on this. If these maniacs want to go around and they want to drill in Alaska where they live, don't drill by my house, drill in your backyard and tell me how you like it.
I don't know. Anyway, so this segment, I want to take a dive into, and I think Richard will probably have some good insight into this as someone who was in the brain center of election coverage. He was in New York at Fox News Studios. I was at home watching the coverage on a variety of channels from my couch.
I wish you could. We should have switched places.
And I think we both had different experiences going into it. So I can tell you from my experience, Richard, and I'm sure you probably felt this way.
I'm nodding because
Tuesday morning.
For the record, folks watching on YouTube, and Rich can tell you, I've been up for almost 3 days straight.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have an election every 4 years. Richard doesn't sleep for an entire week.
I've lost 10 pounds.
It's also the DNC that also happens.
Yeah, the DNC convention, and this time around I've actually lost weight.
He's lost weight. That's how stressed out he was.
Not be stressed out. I think it's just like I'm eating between commercial breaks. That's what I'm doing. I haven't eaten all day.
So, Tuesday morning, we're sitting there. We wake up. We grab our paper. Pull up the New York Times on the computer, on the iPad, whatever you want to do. You look at the polls.
They were tight.
And you sigh a relief.
They were tight. No, they were tight.
Okay, things aren't that bad. Hillary's up 3 to 4 points.
Yeah, touche.
3 to 4 points. I mean, which to most people would be considered a safe margin.
Yeah.
Right? So we go about our day. I work all day. Richard's in New York doing TV appearances or whatever. Generally thinking, and I talk to people, Richard talked to people, and generally the consensus, even from people on the right, was that people were pretty confident that Hillary Clinton was going to be the president.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think that's absolutely right. I won't say who, but obviously Rich is right. I was in New York at Fox. There was a lot of conservative contributors there, and we were joking early when they're like, George is too close to call, and they're like, Richard, you're going to have a great night. Like Georgia was too close to call, North Carolina was too close to call, and like, you are going to have a good night. And I mean, we had heard, we got there, they sort of planned the show out based on this thought that every poll says Hillary Clinton's going to win. So especially, I mean, I think, and I was watching Fox's coverage, and I thought about this. So if you're a TV producer and you're going into this election thinking that this is going to be a blowout, they're thinking, how do we plan this out so we can keep people's attention for as long as possible? So that's when you do the rotating cast of characters.
Yep.
You have the board. You got
the big countdown to polls closing, and the thing that's interesting and does make it
it was 6 hours. They were planning out 6 hours of TV. All the networks did.
Yeah.
They planned out 6 hours of TV and all 6 hours of television because everybody thought this thing would be called between 11 and midnight for Hillary Clinton. Like everybody, all the data people. I mean, Karl Rove, friend, right? Everybody was like, yeah, Joe Trippi. I mean, from my perspective,
these people have been around
they've been around this rodeo 8,000 times.
Yeah. And
they were like, yup. Even like, I mean, you had a couple people like, oh no, Trump's going to get this. Everybody's like,
well, yeah. And when you heard those people, I mean, that was what was so strange about it. So prior to any real results coming in, as I was watching, you would see the Trump surrogates appear and do hits on TV. You would hear them say, we're very happy. This is exciting. We're, the mood in the room is great. And I'm like, wow, are these people like drinking the Kool-Aid? Are they just supposed to say that?
Clearly their internals were
They were right, right?
I mean, I feel really bad because I was up, I think in the 8 o'clock hour, and we were talking about Florida, and I said, Megan, here's what you got to look at: Broward County, tons of votes left out. Miami, and everything I was saying, and I was talking to somebody on the plane right back from New York, and he was like, everything you're saying was right in a normal election. Because
that's how everyone was.
Because I know Florida politics, I know how votes are counted in Florida. I'm like, you have Hillsborough, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. If Hillary Clinton can run the numbers up there, it's game over.
You got your I-4 corridor?
Yeah, that's Hillsborough.
That's
Hillsborough, kind of Tampa. And clearly...
That's the heart of Democrat.
No, the I-4 corridor is not the heart of the Democratic. The southern Florida is the heart of the Democrat. We always believe that we can pick off the I-4 corridor. We can't. But we can win in Tampa and the surrounding suburbs, and we can win in Orlando and the surrounding suburbs.
Yeah.
And then everything else is, and we win in Tallahassee. It's not a lot of, but everything else is Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. These are population centers.
Yeah, and you got to run up the numbers
Absolutely.
to offset the rest of the state.
So I remember being up at 8 o'clock, and I was like, listen, I think it's early. I'm talking to folks at the campaign. They're telling me that 1 million Latinos, which is true, 29% of them voted for Trump. So 209,000 of them voted for Trump in this model.
In Florida?
Well, yeah, because they said they had 1 million Latinos early vote.
Jeez.
But we lost almost 200,000 of those voters.
That's crazy.
Oh, if you were to just, I'm doing some back of the envelope math here. If you say Donald Trump won 29% of the Latino vote and 1 million early votes, one could
290,000.
Yeah, 290,000 went Donald Trump. So, so I'm saying these things, and everybody's like, yeah. And I'm sitting next to Governor Huckabee, and Governor Huckabee's like, well, you can give them ham sandwich, tell them to stay in line, but it's not going to turn out. And I literally said to him, I said, listen, what's going to beat enthusiasm tonight, I said it, quote, what's going to beat enthusiasm tonight is ground game. I was wrong.
Apparently not. So the pollsters, as the night went on, started to get a little weird, right? I think around 9:30 was when people started to really think this is going to be close. And then it shifted very quickly.
Once they called Florida, I want to think it was the first called, where he flipped a state. I want to say it was between Florida.
Was it Ohio?
Well, we knew he was going to win Ohio. Most people we knew he was going to win Ohio. It was between Florida and North Carolina.
North Carolina. I think it was North Carolina.
They called North Carolina at like around 10 o'clock, and I'm like, whoa.
And you're like, okay.
And then they called Florida, and I was like, ooh, Lord Jesus, there's a fire.
Yeah, I mean...
And then it just...
Very quickly, it was like the odds of Hillary Clinton winning are less than 10%.
And it went down fast. And so I was sitting there looking at the map, and I'm like, okay. In my mind, because you're trying to justify it, and you're like, okay, so maybe it's a trend in the southern states. Okay, so rule them out. She still can win. Because she can get some of these, a couple of Rust Belt states to take it up. Then, and I'm like, she also has out west. So there's a possibility of Arizona. So we now we're sure it could happen in Utah. And then as the night went on, and we started to see it was just one after the other, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like Iowa, boom, and it was just chips were falling. Detroit, Michigan, and I'm like, boom.